Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen of the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store. But yeah, guys, I'll go through my trades for the week first and then progress into analysis shortly after. If there is a particular pair you want to skip ahead to, feel free to do that using the timestamps down below. I had two trades this week. I had one trade which I was carrying on from last week, so used JPY, which went and hit the full target, and did a full breakdown on the video, so on the trade, so go and check that out in a recent video I posted yesterday about the trade. So yeah, nice win on used JPY, and then I took a break even and a loss on AUD. I had a small win. The first position was a loss. Price came into this area, lovely break and retest of this area. I originally did see some nice momentum in my favor, but we had some interest rates for Aussie, which price went blasting to the upside against me, taking me up for the trade for a loss. Then I got back into another position at a slightly higher price, better entry, and the risk reward was looking a little bit more attractive as well. So again, yeah, did see some downside, and then price started to consolidate, and then not NFP, the Fed interest rate decision had a big spike to the upside, which took me out the trade. Market did decide to roll over shortly after, but eventually just consolidated and broke to the upside. So that was me done for the week with that loss and the break even and the win carrying over from last week. First week of the month, decent going. Let's see if we can continue that momentum into next week. So first things first, as always, Euro USD. So this pair I'm not too particularly happy with. It's still kind of consolidating at a really rough part. You know, we've got these major swing highs here on the left. These are daily, weekly highs. These are daily, weekly highs. If I quickly go to the daily time frame, as you can see here. So yeah, these are daily, weekly highs, resistance, and the market's kind of just poking its head above, back and forth above this area. So it's kind of confused whether it wants to break through or not, which is a big red flag to me, even buying or selling. I want the market to be clear, show me clarity in the direction you want to make, and either start really breaking through, start giving me some higher highs and higher lows above the area, then okay, we can be a lot more confident with my buys. And same thing for the sells. If you can start rejecting this area and start breaking structure to the downside, that'll tell me, okay, the sellers are stepping in and we can look for more downside and a further big push to the downside. But at the moment, it's kind of in equilibrium right now, so I'm waiting for more development. And pretty much my analysis from last week is pretty much the same analysis this week. Still looking for a break of structure out of this area. So if the market can break through this low here, which he created this week, if it can break through this low here at 1.094, then I'll start looking for some shorts on the flip side. So break of structure, break and retest, and then I'll be looking for my shorts to go to the downside. Or if we can break to the upside, so let me smooth this out this way. If you can break to the upside past this resistance here, it's a solid level resistance, 1.106. The market is still rejecting this area quite heavily, so I want the market to pop above this area, tell me that okay, Euro USD is definitely looking bullish again, and then I'll be looking for my retest above this area for the continuations to the upside. So overall, I'm still bullish on Euro USD because again, structure is still pointing up. We're just showing a lot of signs of exhaustion, and we're struggling to break through certain areas. So I don't want to be jumping into some longs right now. Now is not the best time for that. So either I want the market to break structure, start clearing out some lows. Now I'll be looking at my sell positions. You've got some nice targets there to the downside, and if you can break through the highs, that'll be excellent as well. And we continue to ride that momentum to the upside. Targets for this one, again, you can probably look at some areas here on the left. It's not very clear because they're all the way back from Jan 2022, March 2022, so they're kind of at old levels of support resistance, but they'll make for good targets here if you drop to the 4H again. So around the 1.114, 1.113 area, that could be a nice little target to take the trade back into. But yeah, there's no real logical target, so you can probably use psychological levels as well on the right. But yeah, that's kind of my analysis going for Euro USD. It's kind of just consolidating right now, so I'm not really too interested in the pair until we start breaking highs or start breaking lows, and then I'll do a little bit more in detail analysis on the pair. But we'll be looking for the break of 1.095 or the break of the high of 1.106, and I'll start looking for some trades next week. Okay, so next up we've got USD JPY. So for this pair, we had a crazy move to the downside after rejecting the highs up here. We were looking for buys coming into the week for some retracement to actually take advantage of that bullish move. However, you didn't really see much retracement this week. The market kind of opened around here and just continued to the upside. And after a big rejection, is all the way back down to this area here. So I'm not really looking to buy USD JPY anymore after such a strong rejection. The market's starting to break through the trend line as well. And especially with this type of characteristic in the way the market's moving, it's looking like potentially could be seeing a bit of a head and shoulder pattern starting to play out. We've got the left shoulder there. Let me just print it in, left shoulder, possible head, and then possible right shoulder for a rollover. This is not normally healthy price action, seeing an impulse up and an impulse back down again. So for USD JPY, I'm actually expecting to see if we hold this level, expecting to see a move to the downside this week. If we do break above, then yeah, the buys are back on for move back to where we came from, 137,500. So that would interest me for some buying opportunities above the level. But at the moment, the market is rejecting it. It's a little bit too early to see what we do coming to Monday London session. But if you do see some good rejection around that area, I will be expecting to see a bearish leg to the downside for USD JPY. It might not be anything crazy. We still do have this bullish structure in place. So until we break through this low, this structure is still technically bullish. But we can probably still take advantage of some short-term sells. If we do go and break for the lows, then we might go further. We do have a lot of room to the downside. If USD JPY doesn't want to do that, but again, better be safe than sorry. So for me, coming into the week, looking at rejection from 135, see what we do there. If we do break above, then I will favor buys back to where we came from into 137,500. But yeah, it's make or break at this level, because if we do see some good rejection, I will be expecting that head and shoulder pattern to start shaping up and see some downside into the neckline, which we may respect or may break through. That's something we'll take a look at late in the week as price progresses. But this is what I'm interested in going forwards into next week for USD JPY. Okay, so now on to USD CAD. So USD CAD, crazy move to the downside this week. The market is looking quite bearish with that impulse, but we still do have these high lows intact. The market may be looking to go and break through them. We'll have to wait and see, but nonetheless, I'm expecting to see a bounce coming into this area. USD CAD has been placing those high lows on the daily chart for quite some time now. Since the low down here, which I keep referring back to, May 2021. So pretty much 2 years ago, consistent high lows on the daily chart. Now we're coming back into that same structure. This could be the time the market violates it potentially, or we could just see the market respect it again. Nonetheless, I am expecting at least a bounce at this area. So we could see the market do something, for example, come into this area, a few wicks, see a nice bounce, then we form a lower high and then roll over, because this is a very, very aggressive and bearish move. As you can see, aggressive impulse retracement, even more aggressive impulse retracement. So it does tell me that the bears are creeping into the market, and if you do have a pop to the upside, probably eventually come back down again. So buys are looking good in reference to the higher time frames and the levels we're coming into from 1.334. I do think we can see a nice pop to the upside, but again, how far it goes is another question. If the daily really wants to take control, we could see this springboard back to highs, but we do have a lot of bearish momentum, so have to watch out. A target at this level looks good, it looks logical, but it's a little bit far in reference to the impulse we have. We most likely will see some type of correction, another stab lower. So I wouldn't look to marry those longs and not push it too far. There's this area here we can consult as well, around 1.342. Lovely support there. Let me just adjust that. So lovely support there and resistance. This could be a nice little short-term target, and then potentially that could be a secondary target to see if the market really starts pushing. But yeah, USD CAD for me coming to a really nice place for some buys, heavy momentum. So again, it's important to wait for some entry confirmations and wait for price to start showing exhaustion before look to get into the trade, because for all we know, we could open up bearish and just break through the level on Monday. So important that we do wait for some rejection, but looking for some buys here at 1.334 for pushing to 1.342, and then potentially 1.353 for next week. Okay, so now on to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound, very, very chaotic pair. We were favoring some downside this week. We had a really nice impulse. We were looking for the correction impulse again. But I was looking for a retest of this area. As you can see, the market did retest it slightly, but then broke above it, retest some areas higher above, and then fell over to the downside. So again, in these market conditions, it's a lot harder to predict price more accurately. Sure, we are seeing some good momentum, but if you zoom out, this price action is a complete mess. And until we start giving some clarity in the structure, I'm still reluctant to trade it. So next week, Euro Pound will only creep on my watch list if you see a confident break of this support level. It looks like we are starting to break through, but again, we just had the weekly candle closure. We could see the market snap bullish quite quickly in the market open. This breakout is only by a few pips. It's nothing that I would consider as a solid breakout. I want to see the market really clear this support level, and then I could be looking at some shorts following that momentum to the downside, because you've been in this consolidation for quite a while. The market is building up, and then getting ready for a big breakout to either the upside or the downside. And if you can start clearing the support level, then of course I'll be favoring the shorts below that. So if you can break through 0.87, really start to clear through this level, then I'll be looking for some lower highs. It probably will be on the retest of the level, but if you do create some structure further down, I might be looking at take trades further down, depends how the market develops. But simply looking for the retest of that level to continue the shorts to the downside. But big disclaimer, the market hasn't broken through that level yet, so don't get too excited with the shorts. You need to see the market really push through, and then we can start considering the sells. Right now we could snap back in the range, slight fake out. The market does that a lot of times, especially in these conditions as well. We have to be careful. So yeah, euro pound going forward, I'm looking at this consolidation finally finally coming to an end, hopefully. I'm looking for a move back down into the lows there. You can see a really big impulse to the upside. Got pretty clean range to work with. I think that's a support level. Break through that. Next logical area is back down to around these areas, 0.86 to 0.86. So I'm happy with the opportunity, but again, need to see that clarity with the breakout. So that's what I'll be waiting for euro pound. If you don't, and you start coming back into the range, then I'm gonna leave it alone. Feel free to look for buys and play the range if you want to, but for me, I'll just be leaving it alone. There are better pairs to be trading for myself. So hopefully you can get a breakout this week for euro pound for some shorts. Okay, so on to AUD/USD. So we've seen some upside this week, really strong rejection from this level, which I was not expecting. I was looking for the market to have that pullback and then continue and break through this level, or at least come back and retest it again. Because again, we had that higher time frame bearish momentum. So I was looking for the market to potentially break through this area this week. But the market is now pushing a little bit bullish to the upside. So I'm backing away from the shorts now for AUD/USD for a while. We're having this really strong bullish engulfing on the weekly. This could spill over into the next week and still see some bullish momentum creeping in, maybe taking out some highs here, coming back to some resistance here on the left, maybe even some higher highs up there as well. So I'm starting to back away from the shorts for AUD/USD. I was obviously heavily short this week, had 2 shorts on the AUD/USD, but yeah, after the price action, how things developed, I will be backing away, and I'm favoring some more upside back into the high of the range, which is kind of this bigger structure here, back into that area there. You can see the momentum from the weekly, taking that into the lower time frames. If you can get a bit of a miniature pullback into some nice structure, got some lovely resistance here, turn support around 0.67. If you can see a pullback into this area early next week, you can probably ride and grab some few pips there to the upside. Not the craziest range in the world, got 70 pips to work with, which is not bad to be fair. If you get yourself 20 pip stop loss, you're still looking around the 1 to 3. But yeah, the trick is getting that 20 pip stop loss. So yeah, AUD/USD, I do see some short-term buys. I'm at the moment starting to back away from AUD/USD again. I was heavily reluctant to trade it in these conditions. Started to pan out and start to give some nice lower highs, but now it's looking a bit chaotic again. Seeing some good momentum in the weekly, so I do favor some more upside back to the highs. And if you get a pullback, you could probably ride that momentum in the hourly or maybe the 30-minute time frame. But if it just starts to kind of fluctuate and break structure again, I'll probably just leave it alone, because we're starting to trade within this bigger range. And again, I want to see the market give me a bit more clarity in the direction. If it's to the upside, I'll be more than happy to take buys, start clearing the highs here at 0.68, or start clearing the lows at 0.658. So that's the analysis going ahead into next week for AUD/USD. Okay, so onto NZD CAD. So I was looking for a big move to the upside this week, which we did get. I was looking to try and get into the trade down at these areas here. So this was the setup I was looking at coming into the week. Just missed my area of interest by a few pips, and even if it did hit it, it was outside of my trading hours, so I would have missed the trade anyway. But a really nice move to the upside into the highs of the bearish channel in on higher time frames, which was still looking for the big bull flag to play out. So as you can see, I had that huge impulse to the upside, and this here is our correction. So possibly looking at the next follow through to the upside, but as you can see, a heavy rejection at that area. So coming into next week, I'm still looking at buys, but I will be careful. I'm not looking to push the trade too far. Coming into this area here, lovely resistance, now we turn support, really big move to the upside there as well. And coming into this trend line here too, I'm looking for a push back to where we came from, back into the highs, into this area where those wicks are collecting. Potentially we could break through and actually see the higher time frame bull flag pattern play out. But again, I'm just trying to take small pieces of the cake here, and then if the market does break through, I'll be more than happy to wait for the follow through, the correction, and then buy on the break and retest of those highs. Because if this is gonna, have that follow through like we had here and come back to the highs, there's a long way to go, and I don't need to enter right the lows. I'm just trying to take small bits of the piece and not trying to overexpose myself to the markets here. So I'm looking at buys coming into the week. Again, a little bit worried because we are still rejecting that channel pretty heavily. So targets won't be further than 0.85 back into that resistance, but again, looking to see what type of price action we can get when we come back into this area of interest around 0.84. So NZD CAD going into next week, looking at some buys back to 0.85, but not willing to push the trade further than that. Yes, we do have the bull flag in the higher time frames, but we're still seeing some heavy rejection of the high of the trend line there. So that is a slight red flag for the buys, but nonetheless, it's a good setup. Still looking to catch that next high low. We've got one there, second, third, and looking at a fourth. I'll retest 0.84 and hopefully get a nice push to 0.85 for next week. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to pound NZD. So pound NZD, some nice retracement this week. I'm still bullish overall on the pair. We're still trading above a very critical level of resistance here. I'm looking to see if we can now hold this as support, because I'm still looking for a move back into the highs of this resistance. Let me change the color. Into the highs of this resistance here at 2.04, 2.05. So if we can hold this area as support, because as you can see, it was heavy resistance. We had a bit of a fake out there. Even this is considered a bit of a fake out. If this is a fake out and we get back underneath the level, then cool. We're looking to sell again and take the shorts to the downside back to some areas further down. But if this is now going to hold a support, I do expect to see a follow through to the upside. So if you can see, we do have this long standing trend line start play, connecting the higher lows, 1, 2, 3, 4 here as well. And if I keep that going, you can see it's coming to the area where we're currently trading. So I want to see if the market can start holding this area of support and resistance and the trend line as well. And if it does that coming into Monday, I will be looking for buys here to take this to the upside, back into the highs down the left at 2.03, 2.035, potentially back into the highs slightly above it, but probably just call it a day at that resistance. No need to push the trade further than that, because again, this is the most recent high. The market potentially might look to respect that area and roll back over, but we do have those higher time frame targets slightly above it. So if you want to push the trade further, it does make sense. But for me, 2.035, if I can get decent risk reward into that area, I'll be more than happy to take my profits at that area. So the plan for next week is looking for buys above 2.000, above this infamous psychological level. If the market opens up and starts breaking to the underside and starts breaking through the trend line, and most importantly, starts breaking through the support area, and like I said, we can look for the flip side and start looking to take some sales on the retest of this structure and look for the continuation to the downside. So keep an eye on this area here, still respecting a key trend line and still looking bullish as well. As you can see, with the weekly candle, did not manage to close back underneath here, still using that level as support. So I was about to say tomorrow, next week will be an important week in signifying if we're actually going to use this level as support or potentially going to break through. And like I said, if you do break through, we still got the shorts on the retest. As of right now, we're still holding it as support, so favoring another move back up to 2.035 and then eventually 2.05 as well. Okay, so next up we got CAD Yen. So CAD Yen seeing some really nice movements to the upside. We have broken structure here on the left as well, so I'm turning bullish for CAD Yen now. I do want to see the market pop above this resistance and then look for buys above. I still potentially will look for longs down below as well if we do have another bigger retracement into this level of support here as well. We've got some high lows starting to stack up here. We got 1, 2, potentially 3 here as well, and obviously getting some higher highs as well. So I'm liking the bullish structure here. I'm not too sure if we will come back down after seeing the momentum we're seeing right now. If you do come back into 98,500, I am looking for buys there. You can see you've had this huge down move. This could just be a major high low in the higher time frames. Go daily, weekly, potentially higher low formation, looking for the market to start finding its feet again in this overall bullish trend if you look at the weekly and the monthly time frames. But at the moment, we're coming back into some key resistance. There may be some sales up at this area. I'm not really interested. I'm looking to flow with that momentum, which seems to be spilling, which seems to be exhausting to the downside and starting to take control back to the upside again. So if we can start breaking above 100.7, which is this big level there, we'll be looking for buys above that for the market to continue higher. And also looking for buys down below here. Like I said, I'm not too sure if we will see that move. If we do, fantastic. We can look at buys there. Risk rewards looking pretty healthy as well. But yeah, buys for next week for CAD. We are looking for buy opportunities, looking to see if we can catch that next high low and continue that momentum to the upside. But yeah, clear bullish structure, clear momentum, just looking for some pullbacks or break and retest of this structure here and looking to ride that momentum to the upside. Okay, so pound USD starting to look pretty bullish now, breaking through the highs successive high lows as well. I'm liking the structure. The market's really starting to pick up pace as well. I'm looking to see if we can get a bigger pullback into some structure here. Had some lovely resistance. I was actually looking to see if we can spill into this area on Friday after NFP. Didn't quite see much with NFP for pound USD, kind of just fluctuated a little bit, but overall still looking bullish, and I'm still looking for more upside for this one. So looking for a nice little pullback, take out some of these weaker lows on the lower time frame, test this structure, lovely resistance as you can see previously, use that as support. We've got the trend line confluence there as well, looking to see if we can catch that next higher low for the continuation to the upside. If I flick to the daily time frame, you can see the market is really starting to leave behind this resistance here. It's actually used as support now as well, so this is a comfortable breakout above that resistance. I'm expecting more upside. Have we hit the area yet? Almost coming to the resistance here. Practically, missed by a few pips there around 1.26. So retracement may be likely coming into this area, but overall still pretty bullish on pound. So looking for pullbacks. Again, successive high lows, hasn't been broken once yet. So if you do see a down move, most likely will sustain. And again, as long as we get some good entry confirmations that are looking to continue that momentum to the upside, we're still looking at 1.265 up around that area. So it's some nice retracement, hopefully expected. And then maybe midweek, towards the end of the week, you can find some nice buys to take it back up again. So yeah, pound USD for me still very, very bullish on. Clearing some important highs now here at 1.245, and now expecting some more follow through to the upside. So hoping to get a good pullback. 1.252 is where I've got the level at, and longs back to 1.265 for our TPs. Okay, so on to pound CAD. So pound CAD starting to take a big dive to the downside, and again, I'm looking at this as retracement. The market has been very, very bullish, needing some, healthy retracement. I think that healthy retracement is starting to come into play. The market has recently broken through a very, very key level of support resistance on the higher time frames. As you can see, support, 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 and recently resistance as well. And now we're coming back into retest that area. So for me, I'm looking at a bounce from this level. We can refine that level using the daily time frame and focus our attention on the highs there. So again, lovely impulse to the upside. If we whip out the old Fibonacci, we could use that to gauge how far we potentially could pull back from the low to the high with a 50%. As you can see, it lines up perfectly pretty much with the daily zone. We've got 0.618. The market potentially might creep into this area here as well. Some nice wicks creeping around there, and I do believe we have a nice trend line as well from this prior swing low, connecting the prior connecting that recent new low there as well. So yeah, as you can see, it does come into 0.618 as well. So pound CAD seeing some heavy downside, taking out some of these minor lows here. Again, not reading too much into that. I'm still looking at a buy to the upside, and areas of interest 1.685 into this 50 or 0.618. It's got a little bit more confluence and slightly deeper, but still looking just as good. Actually slightly better than the 50, but nonetheless they're both looking pretty good. So again, the important thing to look out for is your entry confirmations. Read what the market's telling you. Are we likely to bounce from this area? Given some good entry confirmations, then yes, we can look to enter the trade. So the market is breaking through, not so much sign of slowing down, then yeah, we could be looking to have a deeper retest at 0.618. But looking at buys next week, I suppose we could probably push it back to the highs, but it's quite aggressive. It's quite a big move. 288 pips today can probably get your 1 to 3, coming into some resistance here on the left. There's a few wicks here. That could be a nice little area just to take your profit and call it a day. No need to try and stretch it for the home run. Sure, it's nice to bank, a big risk reward, but you have to look at sustainability and not at, individual, success of a particular trade. It's about staying in the long run. And from my experience, it's always better to take your profit at reasonable areas with reasonable take profit rather than try and push your trade to the home run. Because it feels good. But this one I'm looking at pound CAD, areas of interest 1.685 and also 1.676. We'll study price action when he gets there, but looking for some longs next week for this pair. Okay, so now on to pound yen. So pound yen pretty bullish on this one. If I go to the higher time frames, have we created new highs for pound yen? Yes, we just broke through. So pound yen, I'm still looking bullish. We didn't quite come into the area of interest this week. We had some really nice higher lows here. As you can see, we actually exploded to the upside there. Crazy bullish momentum. And I'm looking for the retest of this level here, which we just missed on Thursday. Looking a little bit bullish there to the upside. So pound yen might just be on its way to the upside right now. And if so, there's nothing really I can do there. It missed the area of confluence and it's starting to push to the upside. So I'm not going to try and chase things and try and get onto it because I want to take the trade. I have to wait for price to come to my areas of value, and it still remains untested. So you might see a bit of a bull flag. This is a crazy bullish move. It wouldn't surprise me if you do see one more bearish leg before we do find our feet again and start pushing to the upside as well. So 167,500 is still the area of interest. Looking for some pullbacks into this area. Hopefully first half of the week we can see some downside, some retracement maybe across the M pairs. Start to find the feet, midweek towards the end, and then we can look for some buys to take it back up again. But essentially I'm looking at price pushing back to the highs. Higher time frames, starting from the monthly. As you can see, still displaying a lot of bullish momentum, weekly as well, daily as well, still displaying a lot of bullish momentum. So still looking for the buys, not willing to buy, that high up, as close to some higher time frame resistance. And it's just a bit too high up for me to buy. I want the deeper retracements. Got some really good confluence in this area here as well. I believe we're coming into the 0.618 of the fib if I draw it from the low to the high. Yeah, as you can see, in fact, we might have just wicked into the 0.618 here. We did. I wanted the support resistance. That's the key thing I'm looking for. Fibonacci is confluence we can add on top, but support resistance is the key thing you want to be buying and selling from. So that's what I'm looking at for pound yen next week. Retracement back into the 167,800 area, and then buys back up to 172. Okay, so now on to gold. So gold for me is still pretty bullish, big move to the upside. We are seeing some signs of exhaustion. Again, gold is at a very key level resistance. So despite a lot of buying pressure coming into gold, fundamentally and technically from that bullish move, we are actually at a very major key resistance level. And as you can see, the market is firing some wicks to the upside. So although the lower time frames are still displaying, some bullish momentum, we need to be careful not being too overly confident with our position. So this high here does need to be taken into account because price is respecting it at around 20.46. Had a sharp move to the upside, a couple attempts to try and break through. As you can see, we didn't really do that. So I'm still looking at longs for gold, coming to this nice level here just before the weekly candle close. If you can maintain this going into next week, I do think we can see a nice pop to the upside. As you can see, if I zoom out, the bullish structure is still intact. High, low, new high. And again, looking at a new low forming there. But as you can see, the trend is almost flat. So it's it's a very, very exhausted trend, and a trend that might be looking to roll over and see a bigger move back down. Because again, we're at the highs, we're starting to reject it. Maybe a lot of people getting trapped buying gold at the highs here. Could provide a lot of liquidity for the market to go down first, maybe before it goes on this next crazy swing to the upside. So what I'm looking at gold here is still the market is still bullish. No major breaks in structure. But definitely a market that's starting to exhaust and maybe could be looking at a rollover to the downside. So although buys still look good from this just above 2K, 2005 mark, still look good on the retest. I wouldn't be pushing this trade too far. Even coming back to some lower time frame areas like such, this could be a nice place to bank some partials and then secure the final amount around the highs there, and then probably call it a day. Maybe you can leave some to trickle on. Again, how you manage your trade, that's up to you. Yeah, we're getting some clear signs, especially on the weekly as well for wicks, that the market is starting to exhaust, maybe looking to roll over. But I won't be looking at sales for gold until I see some major structure breaks or some major lower lows and lower highs start developing, which we're still a long way from that. So I'm still looking for buys back into 2045, but I won't be looking to push the trade too far. So keep an eye on that area. Seeing some good rejection now. We'll see how price reacts Monday London session. If things look good, we can pick it up and see hopefully a nice rise to the upside. So that will be the plan for gold going to next week. Okay, so over to Bitcoin. Nothing's really happened with Bitcoin. The market's kind of just moving sideways here, up and down, respect to some resistance around 29,750, 30k. We've got the 30k handle just above. The market is printing some higher lows here, so there's a slight bullish tint to Bitcoin here. So you can see there's some slight higher lows there. But again, I'm not confident looking for buys for Bitcoin at the price we're trading at. If you look at the bigger picture here, where price is coming into, this is still a significant level of support and resistance here at 30k. So for Bitcoin, for me, I'm still looking at buys, but down at 25k, which is the level we'll be looking at for the past couple of weeks now, maybe longer to be fair. But yeah, this level here still looks pretty good. As you can see, big fake move to the downside there. If you go to the daily chart, big fake move to the downside, then follow through to the upside, no retest of that area. Looking for a pullback back onto the 50 of the fib, coming into that zone. Hopefully you get some nice rejection there, take out some of these weaker higher lows here, and then fund the next move to the upside. I don't want to be buying into such a crazy level like 30k, 31k, which was a really key support across 2022, 2021, across 2021. It was a very, very key support level, which is now flipped to resistance. So for me, this is a seller's market, not a seller's market. This is seller's territory because the market is still displaying bullish structure, so it's not a seller's market. But it's at a strong resistance where I would not want to be buying to. So I'm waiting for a deeper pullback, and I will be waiting patiently around 25k. That's still my area of interest. I'll look for the 4H time frame, see what we can get there, and hopefully get some really nice swings back into the highs there as well. So that's the plan for Bitcoin. Not really looking at anything other than that. Again, I don't really look at the finer details of Bitcoin. I just try to look at the major swings daily in 4H. Normally with FX and gold as well, look at the 4H hourly, but with crypto, I'm mainly focused on the daily and the 4H for my analysis and entries. So that's what I'll be looking at going forward for Bitcoin. Just need to stay patient, hopefully get one more down move and get some buys from 25k. And last but not least, we've got a bonus pair, which for this week is US 100 upon request. So US 100, I'm looking at more upside. I was looking at the higher time frame for US 100, especially the weekly. And it looks like the market's starting to break through a solid level of resistance, which was holding quite well, as you can see, once, second time, third time. Now it's starting to break to the upside and firing wicks in the opposite direction. So instead of firing wicks to the upside, we're firing wicks to the downside, which indicates the market is now holding this area of support around 12,800. As you can see, especially with not last week's candle, not this week's candle, sorry, last week's candle, big engulfing candle with a really aggressive wick to the downside. And again, this week as well, price tried to come into the level, just rejected and closed as a doji, but still displaying wicks to the downside. So I'm expecting to see some follow through to the upside next week for US 100, and we've got a pretty easy target to work with, back into that recent high there on the left. That is a logical level of where you expect the market to get to as the next kind of key level, the next step for US 100. But as you can see, successive higher lows since the low in October. Market is still printing higher lows there. So momentum in the higher time frames is still pretty bullish. So yeah, taking this information down to the low time frames. So of course, we're not really trading the weekly. But taking that information to the low time frames, we've got a lovely consolidation. I'll remove this level, by the way. We know it's there. We don't need to have it on for the lower time frames. That's our higher time frame target. So as you can see, the market is kind of ranging here. So we've got a ranging market, but if the market starts to show some momentum breaking through the highs of this range here, which it tried to do there once, looks like it's trying to do it again. If that can follow through, your buys and the retest look pretty good. You still got these higher lows building up there. And then with the breakout, you've got now your higher highs, looking for the next higher low, retest the structure, and you've got a pretty clean trade there, backing with the higher time frame. So again, probability is really in the favor. All we need to see is just that break to the upside, commit above the highs down the left around 13,286. Looking for the retracement. We've got a lovely resistance now turned support here, and looking for the buy to capture that next swing to the upside. 1, 2, 3. So the market's still got some work to do. We still got to break through the high, because there is a possibility the market just starts rejecting the resistance here again, fails to break through and rolls over to the downside, and we just see a kind of a continuation of this range. At that point, you've just got a ranging market. So the best way to look to trade it is sell high, buy low. And again, I'm not really a big fan of ranging markets. If this can start breaking to the upside, this becomes a very, very interesting setup, and a very likely one as well, which is what we're looking for as traders. So yeah, keep an eye on the resistance price trading at now. If you can follow through, and what I mean by that is see a break of the highs here on the left, and see some confident candle closures above this area. As you can see, we're seeing some really good momentum here. Let's just see that continue, break through the high here on the left. Yeah, then look for your retest and continuation. But that's the plan for US 100, looking at some more upside. But yeah, guys, that has taken us to the end of the video. Hope you have enjoyed it and found it useful. Please be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to see a particular bonus pair for next week as well, drop it in the comments. We are doing recommendations. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Hit the bell if you haven't done already, so you don't miss out on any uploads or streams in the future. But thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you all next week.